today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about how to have a truly prosperous marital partnership. Part of prosperity lives in appreciation. It's not about the best car, the best house. It's about appreciation. True prosperity in marriage is appreciation of what we have and what we've come through. The worldly view of provision is, I must be a great provider because look at where I live and look at the car I drive. But so many of those people are living hand to mouth. Real provision means that you are taking what is earned and moving it towards a desired future that is good for you and good for the people around you. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. Or I should say, welcome to another episode of the Prosperous Partnership, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the new rich marriage, what prosperity in partnership looks like, feels like, how to have it. We've done a bunch of episodes this year on emotional wealth and having financial wealth. And I want you to know that we are moving into 2026. We're going to be moving into the business of family, which sounds like a yawn. We need a better name for it. But really, you're in a business together. A partnership is a business. And in that business, we want you to have emotional prosperity and financial prosperity, right? We live in the wealthiest country in the world. There is no reason why you can't appreciate the prosperity you have and build even more prosperity. And some of my listeners are in other countries that are not as prosperous as the United States, and they have so much appreciation for what they have. Part of prosperity lives in appreciation. It's not about the best car, the best house. It's about appreciation. Let's talk about this some more. We have the house, the careers, the family, everything we thought we wanted. And still, something's missing. We talked in a previous episode about the gap and the gain, right? So many couples are focused on more, better, differently. It's what our culture is about. More, better, different. Even though where you are is so much better than where you were, you could have so much more. It could be so much better. It could be so different. That's where infidelity comes from. That's where breaking financial trust in your marriage comes from. It comes from, no matter how much I have, it's not enough. And I want you to know that my listeners in other countries who don't have the same opportunities that we have here in the United States appreciate what they have so much more because their culture is not focused as much. And you let me know about that, you folks in the Philippines and countries like that, you let me know. Not focused as much, maybe, as American culture is. And truthfully, if you want to break out of the cultural restrictions, there are ways to do that. And I think I'm going to tap on this. We're going to talk about that. We can have appreciation for where we are. I want you to know that I have been on what we used to call food stamps and been grateful for it. The United States government gave me a 10-pound block of American cheese, and I treasured the first 5 pounds. The second 5 pounds, not so much. That's a lot of American cheese. There's only so many eggs you can make with American cheese. There's so many grilled cheese sandwiches you can make and not get sick of it. But I was so grateful because I had nothing. I want you to know I've walked into soup kitchens as someone with no roof over his head and been so grateful for that bologna sandwich. I went to a restaurant the other night with my wife, and they served us mortadella as part of our appetizer plate. And mortadella is basically very fatty bologna, and I wouldn't eat it. But I had forgotten what it was like to be hungry and to be glad for what was put in front of me. And sometimes what we need in our marriage is to remember what it's like to be hungry, not just in our day-to-day experience. Feels like something's missing? Something might be missing. But something might be there that you're not seeing also. Our emotional wealth, when two people are living together, there's an unrecognized, there's hidden treasure that's being covered over by feelings of inadequacy, feelings of not enough. You see, true prosperity in marriage is appreciation of what we have and what we've come through. True prosperity in marriage is the freedom that we have to grow. True prosperity in marriage is the joy in sharing where we are, as well as the reality that what we want, as long as it's good for all that is and for us, is attainable. Because that's the kind of universe we live in. When we want something that's good for the greater good and good for us, it can be available. The distinction here is, which mindset are you wearing? Are you wearing a worldly mindset? Or for the secular people who are listening to this, secular meaning they're not sure, they're agnostic or they're atheist. Are you wearing a universal mindset? And if you're one of my people, are you in the spirit? Universal in the spirit, kind of the same thing when you think about it, right? We live in a universe everything's connected. Connection to spirituality. I'm inviting you to stretch a little here. Well, Brad and Gwen had everything they once dreamed of, but they realized that because they had been measuring success by status, by worldly measures, by what the Joneses think, by what their parents thought they should be doing and how their parents thought they should be living, because they measured it by other people's views instead of what was best for them and best for the universe, their family, their community, their country, the world. They were missing out on what they actually had, what was to them immediately through their connection with themselves, their connection with the universe or God, whatever word you want to put on it, their connection with each other, their connection with their children, their connection with their extended family, their connection with their neighbors, their connection with their community, their connection in their state, their connection with their country, their connection with the world, their connection with the ecology, their connection with the trees, with the flowers, the bees, the animals. They were missing all that. We help them redefine prosperity. There are 4 pillars of prosperity. I love that this is an end of the year message. I love this. Provision. Provision does not necessarily mean I go out and bring home the bacon, though it certainly can. As a bacon bringer homer, it certainly can. Provision can mean so much more. Provision can mean I take the money we have and put it places where it grows. The stock market, real estate, loans to other people with interest if you feel like you can do that kind of thing. Coins that increase in value. Any way that you can take something you have and grow it. A 401k, your kid's college fund. Maybe your partner earns more than you do. My situation. Your partner earns more than you do, and you manage what comes in and make sure that some of that is put away for your kid's college fund. Maybe you make sure some of that is there for an emergency. You have an emergency fund. Maybe you make sure that you don't have credit card debt. That's what provision is about. Provision doesn't just mean earning money. It's how you manage it. The worldly view of provision is, I must be a great provider because look at where I live and look at the car I drive. But so many of those people are living hand to mouth. Real provision means that you are taking what is earned and moving it towards a desired future that is good for you and good for the people around you. Presence is the next pillar. Emotional presence. If I'm working time and never present for my partner or my children or my dog. Have any of you ever seen my dog? We got to get him on this show sometime. Got to change the camera focus because he's down here usually. He's not here right now. If I'm not emotionally present for myself, if I am not living a life that has either or mindfulness meaning of all my thoughts and the things that bubble up, even the not so nice ones. When I walk down the street and I see that lady who's obviously hasn't bathed and who's wearing a lot of dirty clothes and she's sitting on the sidewalk. And my first reaction is, ugh, that's not so nice. But maybe my second thought is, how can I uplift her? With no concern for what she does with that uplifting. It's compassion. That's presence, emotional availability. When we harden our hearts and we see those people and we stop seeing them, we are no longer present. When we see someone and go, oh, they're rich, they're poor, they're white, they're black, they're yellow. When we start putting barriers, we are no longer emotionally present. So we got provision, what we do with what we have. We have presence. Do you have a heart of stone? Or as people in my circle say, do you have a circumcised heart or an uncircumcised heart? Partnership. Are you working in harmony with yourself? Like, are your values and principles in alignment? Are you in harmony with your ecology, let's call it? When you walk out, do people smile at you? Or do they look at you like maybe you're a little scary? I can share you, 40 years ago, people were afraid to stand next to me in the subway because I was big and I was angry and I was well-trained in physical violence. I was a scary human being. That's the opposite of partnership. Partnership means we're connected to ourselves, connected to other people, ready to uplift others. Partnership means in our marriage, balanced leadership. I like to say to my wife, because it drives her crazy, I'm the head of the household. And in some ways, I am the head of the household. It drives her crazy because she's a very enlightened woman, empowered woman. But there are things that she runs that I do not touch, right? Because real partnership means strength in different areas. When it comes to our children, she has the final word because she knows more about that ecology than I do. It's part of her wiring. When it comes to whether we need a new roof or not, I have the final word because that's my world. I know that stuff. Partnership. And the last thing, the last pillar of prosperity is purpose. We got provision, managing what you have. We have presence, being emotionally available. We have partnership, which is balanced leadership, supporting others, uplifting those around you, allowing yourself to be uplifted. And we have purpose. Purpose means I know why I'm here. Purpose means I see or I'm learning all my skills, all my talents, all my strengths and weaknesses, and I see that I am a snowflake, a key that has a perfect shape, and there is a purpose for me in this world. Somewhere, there is a lock that I fit perfectly. Whether I believe I was created that way or whether I believe I evolved that way does not matter. What matters is knowing that I have a purpose. Brad and Gwen, they embrace provision, presence, partnership, and purpose. You thought I forgot about Brad and Gwen. I did not. They had everything. They realized they'd been measuring success by the things around them, and we taught them to lean into the 4 Ps: provision, presence, partnership, and purpose, because that's what leads to prosperity. When you're living in the 4 Ps, you are prosperous. Even if you're on food stamps, you're prosperous. They began investing time into having experiences together. They began investing their money into having experiences together. They invested their time and money into giving back in the areas where they felt passionately about. That lady on the street or whatever you can think of. You see, redefinition of what's important replaces restlessness and feeling lost and alone. When we know our purpose, when we're present, when we are acting in provision, in partnership, we can't be lost anymore. Pressure is a different experience. When the pressure is, am I living up to my family's expectations? When the pressure is, wow, look at how they're living on social media. Can I live that way? We can never get out from under that. When the pressure is, I see who I could be, but I'm never going to get there. It's so sad and depressing. There's no hope. But when we're to where we are and we see who we are today versus who I was 40 years ago, today I'm a loving, caring, passionate, trusting man who is still trained for situations and in the appropriate moments can engage in physical violence. But guess what? That moment hasn't come up ever, really. I used to look for that moment. But now, because what I seek is fulfilling my purpose, that moment never seems to arrive. Oh, I'm ready, because that's who I was. You never give up who you are completely. But people stand next to me in the subway today. People feel safe in my presence. My clients experience safety when we work together. They know they're in a no judgment zone. They know they can express emotional violence in that zone, and I will help them get through to the 4 Ps. Hey, if you are struggling in the holiday season, and it's almost over, New Year's almost here, yay! Join our free community group, The Bridge, on richinrelationship.com, RICHINRELATIONSHIP.com. The next episode, and the last episode of this series, moving into the new year, and then kicking off our next series, all about, maybe we've had the wrong name for that series. I keep calling it The Business of Family. Maybe it's really The Prosperous Partnership. I like that so much better. Kicking off the next series, which is going to be called The Prosperous Partnership. That's what we're going to call that sucker. The Prosperous Partnership, because that's what it's really about. Prosperous emotionally, prosperous in connection, or spiritually, for those of you who like that word. Prosperous financially and materially. The Prosperous Partnership in 2026. Hey, have an amazing day and a fantastic tomorrow. And thank you for subscribing to Rich in Relationship.